wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember,
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is weird.
Time is coming.
At a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. It's
Right?
already here. Awaken
You're
others.
the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is weird.
Time is coming.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is weird.
Time is coming.
At a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. It's
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is weird.
Time is coming.
At a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. It's
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
That's that.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. Time is
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
That's that.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have calling
I can only show you the door.
Check.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. Time is
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
That's that.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. Time is
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
That's that.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. Time is
Right?
already here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just waiting for people to fill up into the room here, just making sure that the live is getting spread out. Just bear with me. It's good to be back. If You are the
This
resistance.
is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends.
Just
Wake
stay
up in your bed
tuned.
and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
That's last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us have been brought to the brink. A lot of us here have called
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. Momentum is already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Long intro. It's been a while to be back in the driver's seat. It certainly has been some time. Just to go over that a little bit real quick. Recently had bought a home back in August, and about a few weeks into it, well, first of all, let me thank y'all for tuning in, because it definitely has been a while, and it's still at home base, of course, and I think it's a lot of a better vibe since the office. Although I do miss the office for sure, but I have a designated room now dedicated to the podcast. Another thing about that, well, let me roll into that in a minute, but everyone that's tuned in over the past year now, actually a little bit, it's over a year now, but we're what are we going into, about a year and a half, a little less than that, but it's definitely over a year now. So everyone that's shared the podcast or have commented or have made, we've gone back and forth through conversations with I've gone through conversations with various people, especially over the course of the past few months. With the last podcast that we had was episode 50, where we were talking about the video footage about the Trump assassination, and I was going over a video of a military veteran. I believe he was a military veteran, and firearm specialist at the very least, and he was going over like the accuracy and all the stuff that happened during that event in Pennsylvania with Trump. So anyway, I thank y'all once again for having tuned in. It's been a while since I've posted anything or made any content really, or posted any podcast. Recently had bought a home and had gone through, like 2.5 weeks in, had gone through like a catastrophic sewer line issue that I had to get replaced. Everything was pretty much done by hand, other than the excavator, which was a long hole from the backyard all the way out to the front, right out to the street. I had much help with that. And a lot of people had. I had made a GoFundMe to receive like donations and stuff like that, which is something that I would never do. I don't do things like that, and this was just something like I really needed to reach out to the community to help. Maybe I should have made a podcast about it, but I wasn't trying to make it a spectacle or anything like that. I was just trying to reach out to either family or friends or anyone that would be out there, willing to either donate their time or donate any funds towards it. God willing, everything got fixed. It was a lot of work. There was about 80 feet worth of pipe that had to get replaced. This home transferred over into from 1943. I guess it was a septic at one point, and then it got redone in 1969, where they lay clay pipe, and that's what they used back in the day. They'd go from cast iron to clay or whatever. So anyway, that was all torn up, and I replaced it. I replaced it all with PVC pipe. I did have I did have a lot of help on that. Like I had a master plumber out here. Shout outs to the Templar Plumbing, Ryan Chattel. If you ever tune in or if you're listening in, shout outs to you for overlooking my amateur plumbing skills on getting that done. And Todd Chattel also for even getting all the hookups with the excavator guy. I think Mike Rose. I might be forgetting his name right now, but shout outs to that guy because he definitely did a really good job on digging, the whole yard up for, getting me access to the pipe. Shout outs to Brandon. Shout outs to my boy Brandon for coming through and helping me out also. Shout outs to everybody that's donated. There's a lot of people to name. I was going to do that, but I'm going to make a separate content video about that. I've been meaning to really, pour out to people that have actually donated their time or their funds to get that major project. God willing though, like it got done, and also it was a learning experience too, as being a new homeowner, and learning very quickly how that when something goes wrong, it's 100% on you. You got to get it figured out, and the best way to go. I'm the kind of guy that I want to get things, when I get things done, I want to get them done, but I want to get them done right, to the best of my ability. I don't like to try and cut corners or anything like that. So, it got done. Everyone was able to use the facilities as normal, but it took a few weeks. Definitely took a few weeks, and we had a huge hole to dig back in. We had to, put all the material back in. We just pretty much just got that done. There's a couple more things that we got to do, but Lord willing, it got done. So that's basically what I've been doing. I kind of stayed away from making any content, although I did want to try and make it attempts to do it, but I just, it was coming from work, family, taking care of house, work, family, taking care of house. And I was just 100% focused on that. So it unfortunately took me away from this, but I'm back. I'm not complaining. I'm glad that was done. That was more important. I wanted to have my family set and all that stuff. So since then, also a lot has been happening. I've been paying attention to a lot of it, a lot of stuff, a lot of the, there's a huge controversy with Trump, Harris, the Biden administration, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard. As far as the election stuff goes, and that's coming up. I mean, we're about 2 weeks away, I think, right? Give or take. About 2 weeks away, 12 days. And, there's already a lot of things that has been happening as far as like, are things, in some of these states going fraudulent. I'm in a Facebook group, a group message, and, I get informed about a lot of things as far as like, there's some shady things that have been going on. Like, for instance, there's been, according to some of these witnesses or some of the people that have been, hands-on or boots on the ground type that have been going to vote also have been being told in some small counties. I want to say in Mass, I could probably pull that up. Yeah, I'll try and pull that Facebook page so I can see if I can get a county. I don't want to reveal any names or anything like that, but I at the time, because I don't know if they're, shout outs to Rat Castle for tuning in. Shout outs to you, brother. Shout outs to Dill. But I don't want to reveal any names. If they don't want to be revealed, I'm not going to do that. But I am in a Facebook group that has been, I feel like I'm breathing into the mic here. Sorry. That has been informing about potential fraudulent stuff that has been occurring. And let's see if I can pull that up. And I have been seeing that also, like, just happening in general, just paying attention online. I don't take everything that people send me or that I come across at face value. I do try to dive in and see where the evidence is. I mean, I'm not surprised that any evidence that I'm not surprised that there is evidence because of what we witnessed the last election. And people will say, well, no, there wasn't any fraudulent actions that's been proven, but that's not true, because a lot of that stuff is none of the judges wanted to take it for whatever reason, because political reasons. And Sorry, I'm just messaging into the group page right now. And yeah, so let me scroll up here. Some people have done some like early voting, and I'm just trying to find the county that they said. I don't know if it's in Rhode Island or Massachusetts that I saw, but you probably hear some background. I don't have a I don't have any co-hosts, so can't have someone searching for it at the same time. So I don't have a Jamie. I don't have a Rob, like a PBD podcast or a Joe Rogan podcast. I don't have a Jamie or a Rob. Let's see. So a lot of early voting has been occurring. So I guess a lot of weird things. So okay, so what I've been told, at least in this chat that I'm in, is that some people have been putting in votes, writing in their votes, and then this particular county, which I can't. I'm trying to. Actually, let me see. What was the county that has told people to lock away their votes to be counted later? And what's been told is that the vote that you write on is handed in, and whoever the people that are overseeing the voting processes are saying, we'll take your vote, you put it in this box, and then we'll later count it, which means they got to open it and actually see the vote. Now, I don't know if that's standard. I don't know if that's actual standard process for someone to be designated to actually see the vote so that it can be counted and all that stuff. Because how else would it be counted if it wasn't through a machine? So obviously there has to be some kind of human eyes, but because there are machines that these things actually get scanned through, I'm wondering if that's even standard process anymore for having human eyes and human hands on the actual vote itself to be later counted. And to be in, it's understandable that these things are, that people are being very wary and very cautious about this because of what had happened the last election, and what have also been happening in the prior local elections, state elections, stuff like that. Cheers. So it's I don't think it's unreasonable for people to be weary about that. In fact, there should be some high concern, especially given the fact of what we have been seeing. Okay, so the message is Sterling County, Connecticut, Windham County. Sterling, Connecticut, Windham County. This person had said that's occurred, that people are being told to put their ballots in a actual lockbox where it would be counted later on. And I'm just asking, sorry about that. I'm trying to keep the dead air, but again, one-man operation, doing a podcast. So there's been stuff like that. I've also been seeing a lot of that stuff online as well, that people haven't been doing. There's just been some shady stuff, although I don't think that they can pull the same thing off that they did prior. And what I mean by I do mean by, both parties, Republican and Democrat, do their shady business. But what we have seen, that the Democratic Party that has been doing this fraudulent behavior, or behavior that has been disenfranchising the American voter, it's been more, they have been more of a presence being shady on the electoral process. where things are dumped in the woods, in the river, in the trash, burned. Ballots found in people's cars that were supposed to be delivered to these stations that happened to be, votes that were for the opposing candidate. A lot of these votes that had come in were for Biden, for instance. A lot of these people were dead, or they weren't even citizens, and that's another thing too. The whole voter ID stuff is that people are being there's an extreme cautionary where some counties are just not accepting. They're not requiring people to have IDs, which is a requirement to actually cast a vote. And this is nothing new either. This has been something that's gone on for quite a while. The Republicans have done it before during the Bush administration. That's how Bush was able to get his nomination accepted into the president into being the president because of Jeb Bush being in Florida, and then overseeing the nomination for Al Gore. And there was a recount. Al Gore had actually had literally won the election live on TV, and then later on they said that there was a miscount, and they had to recount things. You can look that up. That's all over, and that's pretty common knowledge. But so election fraud does exist. It existed on both sides. It has been a lot more prevalent now on the side of the Democrats, AKA the new Communist Party, we'll say. That's what I call them. I call them the new Communist Party because the Democrats that I know throughout history, at least from the Kennedy perspective, the John F. Kennedy perspective, they're not the same Democrats that particular party was. This is now a communist party. Whether you believe that or not, I mean, you can look at the track record and how they perform things, the censorship, the wanting to take away children because of gender care and all that stuff, the wanting to indoctrinate children with basically pornographic LGBTQ minus plus divide information, indoctrination, whatever you want to call it, pedo stuff, basically. And that's all communist, fascist rhetoric and behavior. And also when they get them on the side of where like they take things from these classrooms, or they take things from these children which are like fundamental moral values and all that stuff, and teaching all that, instead of being basically teaching them how to be a victim all the time. So this is why we get kids that don't listen to their elders, especially their parents, or they have they want to be highly disobedient with their parents and all that stuff. But a part of that too is by taking the father out of the home too, or the father just being absent or anything like that. That's a rabbit hole I haven't quite prepared for to get on. Some of the topics that I do want to talk about, I really want to focus on, is basically the elections, artificial intelligence, World War III UAPs, and the Trump and Harris election that's going on. I do want to play a video of RFK, who's talking about the Harris administration allowing a particular law, a particular document, a particular process of utilizing the military as a means to use force and lethal force on the American people. And this is all coming out after the Harris administration is calling Trump, a Hitler and all that stuff, which they've been trying to do that for quite a while, as far as they've been trying to do this, basically as a smear campaign to call this guy, a Hitler incarnate, which is the furthest thing from the truth. And look, I'm not going to be up here, defending the guy, for whatever rhetoric that he displays or anything like that. But I'm also not going to side on the fact that people are saying, "Oh, this guy's a racist. This guy's a Hitler incarnate," and Harris is this, this savior of within the Democratic Party when she doesn't even know policy. She has no policy. He wasn't even voted during the first election between Biden and Trump. She lost and actually dropped down, and then later became a vice president. Later became the VP. So anyway, her campaign, the Biden administration and the Clinton administration, or the Clinton party rather, the Clinton family, the Obamas, all saying that, and many like other artists and all that stuff have been during his campaign, during Trump's presidency, have been saying like, "Oh, he's a Hitler, he's a white supremacist, he's a racist, he's anti-Mexican, he's anti-Muslim, he's all of these things." And CNN was basically the main culprit for this. CNN, MSNBC, all of the highly, the fake news, the coined term that Trump had made up. Fortunately, actually, is a very true statement by saying that all of these organizations, Fox is no different, but they were less biased against him than the other organizations. But you really don't have any major outlet to go on, and I don't recommend just utilizing these major outlets as your main source of information. We all know. You probably have known within recent, or many of you have known within recent years, that the media is absolute trash. They don't give you the actual full truths. They're not true journalists. They're just people and head puppets, basically, overpaid just to talk about agendas or be paid to speak about these agendas. And then there are some journalists and there are some news anchors on there that did the work. Many of you may agree or disagree. Tucker Carlson, in the beginning, in the far beginning, when he first started at Fox, he was, he definitely was a severely biased individual on there. And then gradually he had became more and more aware of certain things. And I just think that it takes time for some people to actually get it. And I'm not saying that he's perfect. None of us are, actually. I'm saying from wherever platform that we're coming from, none of us are perfect, myself included. So I guess my point here is that these smear campaigns were an attempt to discredit someone who, it was basically defamation against someone. A perfect example would be that when CNN was smear campaigning Trump about him, calling Mexicans just rapists and all that stuff, just that he was calling the whole country, the country and culture of Mexico, they're just rapists coming over the border. He was talking about MS-13 and all of the other cartel organizations that come through that borderline, through Mexico. He wasn't talking about Mexican people. He never said that. And I really don't have time to look up the clip. You can go look up the clip online. That's entirely up to you. Paul Rihanna, salute to you, brother, for tuning in. Appreciate you, brother. So you can go ahead and you can go ahead and look up all of that, online. It's out there. The information's out there. Let's see. Fake Mike Real News. Appreciate you, Will Turbit. Fake Mike Real News for tuning in. Who cares if okay, so Fake Mike Real News, hold on. Let me get to this before I play that RFK video. But Fake Mike Real News, he says Trump is a fraud and is a pedo. What do you call the Republicans? And he's saying so you're saying Robert Kennedy Jr. is also a pedophile. He did admit that he did fly on the on Epstein's plane. He told this story I think he told the story at least twice that I came across it. He was on the so he knew who Epstein was. He had a I guess a flight to catch. I'm paraphrasing. You can look this story up too. But from my understanding, that he flew himself and his family out from like Chicago to New York or New York to Chicago. I can't remember. Somewhere in the country. So he never went to an island, according to what he said. He never went to any other place, according to what he said. So I can only take that as I can't say that I can't say that. I personally don't think Robert Kennedy Jr. is a part of that list. Okay. Will says, Fake Mike Real News. This is on the Rumble site, so everyone should actually go to Rumble because Rumble is the best app to be tuning in to all of this. But Fake Mike Real News says Trump has killed more than Hitler and lost a lawsuit for being racist. I don't know. You're gonna have to post that info because that sounds very outlandish. I don't think Trump has killed anybody, other than some of the terrorist leaders from, I believe, Syria. Yeah, cops do use lethal force about every day, and there's definitely cops out there that have not worked within the expectations that they should be, and I think that they should be tried and charged for whatever unlawful actions that they take. But lethal force has to be taken. For instance, if someone comes into your home, tries to rob you, you have to use lethal force. Yes or no? Yes, I think yes. I highly suggest yes. Someone tries to force entry, whether they have a weapon on them or not. Yeah, I do highly believe that you have a duty to protect your home and most of all protect your family and also protect yourself from someone invading. The cops have a similar process to that. Yes, they have to go and engage. I do think that what should be taught throughout all police departments is that they should have a training. They should have part of their training should be de-escalation, which under many people's impression is that that's what they're supposed to do. And in fact, that's what they are supposed to do, is to de-escalate, not escalate. I have come across some videos where it seems like that process is being implemented, although it could be a little bit of fear that cops are having a hard time wanting to do their job, or they're just really much more in their mind. They're like, hey, I need to process this situation on what I'm going to do. A perfect example would be, I believe it was I don't know if she was a model or if she was I don't know if she was involved in some sport, but I think she had called the police or something like that. In her apartment building, they show up. I can't remember her name. Her name escapes me right now. But the officer shows up, who's Asian, by the way. I believe he was an Asian officer, so they were calling him like a white racist officer. I don't think he was white. I think he was an Asian guy. But anyway, he goes, approaches the door, knocks on the door. She opens it and immediately starts stabbing him. Or start stabbing at him, and she ended up getting him too. I think she got him in the head or something like that. And it was probably like about 10, 15 seconds where he was saying, back off, get off, or drop the knife or whatever like that. And she just kept coming, and he ended up killing her. An unfortunate situation all the way around, but. What is a police officer supposed to do? What is anybody supposed to do if you're confronted with that sort of threat? Whether you're engaged to do some type of health check or whatever, to do some type of health check, and someone comes out of their door flying at you and starts trying to stab you after they've called for you. So, I mean, that's kind of where I stand on that. I don't think I do want to play that video. I'm getting sidetracked, but I'm responding to Fake Mike Real News, Will Turbit, good friend of mine. We don't agree on everything, but we definitely agree on some things. I want to add here, Will, if you're still listening, is that I believe in limited government. At the very least, the smallest cabinet of government, the very, very least government. And I don't know how exactly that works as far as like how do people communicate to this government. And I do think that people can police themselves. But I do think that there have to be people who are designated to do that. Not everyone's going to police themselves. You're not going to expect an 80-year-old lady to do it. You're not going to expect an 80-year-old man to do it. You're not going to expect a person with a mental disability to do it, such as, you know, autism, Down syndrome, or whatever the case may be. And for anyone out there, I'm using autism as a very a blanket statement because I know that there are people out there with autism who function completely normal, and could probably be very capable of policing and protecting communities. But what I'm saying is someone, able-bodied people would be willing and able to do it, but sick and people who are just wouldn't have that capability to do it. It would be up to the people who are strong and able-bodied to do that for them. But I think this country would be better operated with limited government and limited overseer policing, and that the public themselves, I do think that there should be some kind of mandatory training within the public to be able to defend themselves and also able to utilize firearms. I would mandatory to people who are able-bodied to do it. Israel has a similar type of thing, and I even think Russia has a similar type of thing. I think China has a similar. I'm not saying that like let's become a communist country and just start forcing people to be able to defend themselves. But I mean, we are faced with outside threats globally. I think it's smarter to be that way, but also I think our relationships from outside our country should be in better communication rather than just immediately going into war, which I'm going to get into later. Dill says, have you heard about the kid from when Tim Walz used to coach that he molested him from age 14 to 18? I have not heard that. I have heard some shady stuff that have come out. And also the popular thing where Tim Walz is responsible for putting tampons in men bathrooms. This is the part. Okay, so this is the party of the party that wants to have tampons in men's bathrooms, because this party thinks that men can menstruate, that men can have give birth, that men can be women with beards. They can be women. This is the party that believes that. This is the party that's for that stuff. I mean, yeah. Will Dill, FakeMicRealNews, Will Turbit. He's not. I wouldn't say he's a troll. He's been on the podcast a few times. We've had a lot of good conversations on the podcast. One of them being like 6 hours long. And we got a little toasty together, shared a couple beers and stuff like that. More than a couple, actually. If you get through the entire podcast, we go in. But send me a few links about Tim Walz. I have not heard that, and I'm not surprised either because he looks the type. But not the judge, not to be judgmental. But let me get into. I want to play the recent Robert Kennedy Jr. video of him talking about Harris, saying that Trump's going to use the military against the American public, when actually, well, I'll let you listen to it. I'll let you hear it. I'll let you all hear that, because it's very interesting. And also it plays at the 2012 mark, which I thought, I don't know why. I pay attention to numbers. Numbers mean things. Numbers are significant. Juana? I'm sorry if I'm not Juana May. I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly, but I do thank you for tuning in. She says, I'm sorry. I can't even, So, again, I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly. Juana. She says, thank you for supporting Trump. We are making choices for our future. If you need any help, contact me. I'm in a good position. I can help you. I don't know if that's a bot, but thank you. I appreciate that. Just follow, like, share, subscribe, follow to The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Make sure that you download and get us on Spotify and Rumble. That's the best places to be, although YouTube is a great place to be as well. But YouTube censors too much. All right. Let me see. Let me not get away from this because I want to play this really quickly. So this is Robert Kennedy at the Duluth, Georgia Turning Point rally. So check this out.
One other thing. President Harris said today in her post, in her speech, she said that President Trump was going to turn the U.S. military against the American public and use the public to promote his agenda. How many of you think that is true? Well, what's interesting to me is that the Biden-Harris administration has done something 2 weeks ago that has never been done in American history, which is to send lethal force, to send a directive to the Pentagon, changing the law to make it legal for the U.S. military to use lethal force against American citizens on American soil. Technically, now it's legal for the U.S. military, under this directive, it will become legal for the U.S. military to shoot and kill Americans who engage in political protest because they disagree with policies in the White House. I'm not making this up. Any of you can look it up. This is a Democratic initiative. This did not come during the Trump administration. This did not come from Donald Trump. It came from the Democratic Party. And that's why I left the Democratic Party. Don't you want a president of the United States who is going to protect our Constitution? Oh, you want a president who's going to end all the foreign forever wars? Oh, you want a president who's going to stand up for free speech? Oh, you want a president who's going to stand up for the Bill of Rights? And don't you want a president who is going to stand up for the Constitution of the United States in every way? And don't you want a president who has the guts to stand up to the CIA? And don't you want a president who is able to stand up to the military-industrial complex and to BlackRock and to Bill Gates and to State Street and...
All right. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from. It's a Democratic initiative to utilize the American military against Americans who are who don't agree with policies in the White House, who protest. Now, this isn't anything new that has been rumored to be a thing. throughout the country, throughout many throughout many administrations. During the Bush administration, there were executive orders to utilize the police as basically militarize them, and that was very much after 9/11. I mean, they were already building up to that point. 9/11 definitely beefed up the paramilitarization of the police force, state and federal. Obama administration, that's definitely during his administration, that was definitely on display in full force. And then because of the turning of the tide with Trump coming into office after defeating Hillary Clinton, the Democratic states and most of the Democratic counties were utilizing the paramilitary forces, as we know as the police, to demonstrate force against the people. But we also saw them back off dramatically, and in fact, very much so during these funded George Soros riots that BLM and Antifa were involved in. So now, fast forward, January 6th, that was a complete disaster on the globalist side because it failed. It failed because the CIA and the feds that were very much involved were preparing or trying to corral the people into basically causing a revolt on the State House and causing that to be. But as you know, and if you've been someone that's been following it, as have I, the footage that has come out completely decimates the information that was coming out of a lot of these leftist media outlets, where you could see footage of these people getting basically having a tour of the State House and inside the cabinet and inside the floor, and just basically being let in. And then there were some, I believe, Ashley Babbitt, I think her name was Ashley. She was shot and killed. The only protester that was shot and killed. And they said that there were a lot of police that were killed. There was one police officer that had died later after the fact, and it could have been caused from a head injury. So that's possible, but I think one of them was like a heart attack, and that could have all been linked to COVID, the COVID vaccination too. So who knows? I'm just speculating. I don't know. Allegedly, gotta say allegedly a lot, because allegedly people like to come for you when things are alleged. When it's actually true. I figured, Dilly says, he says that he works for, okay, so the kid that has come out about that on Tim Wells works for CPS and has come out about it. Yep. Accuse those of exactly what they intend to do. That's exactly what Harris and the Biden administration is doing and has been doing. A lot of the media outlets that have been doing that, because a lot of these people are on the Epstein list. A lot of these people are on, are involved in high-profile sex trafficking, and are probably very much afraid that Trump will, will designate a certain part of his office into not attacking, but uncovering this information and getting these people tried for the crimes that they've committed. Rightfully so. I mean, he should have did that for Hillary. He should have did that for a lot of people. He should have did it for everyone that he was able to uncover. And I understand it, like the presidency is about getting the country back in order, but he can designate a certain group to figure those things out and have him have the oversight of it. And I think he should do that. I really think if he's even to redeem and give any type of hope, because again, I'm speaking from a perspective that I don't believe that voting does much. I certainly don't believe government does anything. We've seen that. I've known that for 30 plus years of my life, that government doesn't do anything. We see that in North Carolina, Florida. The only people that are helping within North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, all the people that are affected by the hurricanes are the people, and some of the local state county men and all that stuff. But basically, it's just the people. It's just the people that are affected by it. It's volunteers that are going over there. Dill says, I'm glad this is out now because Trump gets in and then a police force decides to use this. They're going to think it was Trump. Yes, exactly. I think that's what they're going. I 100% believe that would be part of the cards, part of the playing cards there, is that this thing goes into effect and Trump gets in, right? And it would be a good thing as far as not, I mean, we don't want Harris, we don't want Biden, I get it. But it would be a good thing for Trump to get in. But however, the Democratic states would likely utilize this. So for instance, George Soros does a new campaign on getting BLM and Antifa hyped up, or some other group comes out and they do some protesting and they do some, or whatever. I don't even think it's going to be protesting. I think it's going to be like pretty much violent civil unrest. So it would go really much beyond. It would go beyond your typical protesting. I mean, we saw the BLM and Antifa riots go way beyond protesting. It wasn't even protesting anymore. People were burning down places, shooting each other, taking over small city blocks, and looting and all that stuff. And people were actually being killed. There was a few cases all over the country, and well, one of the famous ones is the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, right? Kid goes out there. Now I don't agree that he should have gone out there and did that especially at 17 years old. I really don't think, especially with a lack of experience on being in high stress situations or anything like that. I don't agree that he should have been out there. But at the same time, he was out there and felt that he was probably doing the right thing, but he was also caught in a very bad situation that put him in a predicament that got I think it was 2 people that got killed. One was shot. He survived, but he blew off his bicep basically. And one of the people that he caught, and I'm not saying, Lord forgive me, I'm not saying that it's justifiable to just go and take people out for whether they committed a crime or not. But the person, one of the guy, I can't remember, his name escapes me, but one of the guys that he killed was coming at him and I guess was gonna, like, I don't know, he was gonna hit him or something like that. So Kyle used the rifle, kills him, and this guy ends up being a multi-offending, I think he was a child molester or something like that, or he raped, a couple kids or something like that. So a lot of people online I would see like, oh, well, good for him. You know what I'm saying? Like he actually did the people a favor. and a part of me agrees to that. A part of me says, it's not. It's only justified because he's able to, because the guy came at Kyle and Kyle was able to, put him down or end the threat basically. And he just so happened to be someone that was actually, a multi-offending individual, sex offender also. So, I mean, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent on that. So going back to what you were saying, Dill, is that, yes, I do agree that even if, I'm going to say even when, because it looks like this is what's going to happen. And I think I'm with you on this one. I've also, I don't know if you follow Alex Jones, InfoWars. Some people disagree with who he is and how he is, but listen, a lot of the stuff that he's come out with over the years, I followed the guy for at least 20-something years, so at least since 9/11, at the very least since 9/11, and he's been very much on target. Very much on target. He gets a bad rap about the Sandy Hook stuff, and I don't see the big deal in all of that. I kind of agree that there was some shady stuff that was going on that during Sandy Hook, for instance, the school being bulldozed down, I think days or a few weeks after. the incident had occurred. There was also some guys that were caught out from a helicopter view in the woods, like potentially another shooter or something like that. Anyway, he gets a bad rap for that. I don't see the big deal on that. Like, that was the one thing but that was the one thing that they had to try and take him down. And they've been, they've definitely come at him. I know some people have opinions on him that he might be he might be an agent. I don't think he is. I really don't. I don't see the evidence of that, so I can't claim that. And some people are upset that he doesn't go out there and do a lot of protests. The guy is 50-something years old. He has no business being out there all the time, protesting with large crowds and stuff like that. And we saw what happened. They tried to frame him in the January 6th thing. So, which was again unsuccessful by the globalists and the administrations that tried to make that successful on framing Trump and framing Trump supporters, conservatives, as these outlandish, racist, supremacist type of gun nuts, basically. And it didn't work. It literally didn't work. They had a committee and everything, and they had to throw out all the evidence of it. It's all done because Tucker Carlson blew it open with all of the video footage that you see federal police, you see Capitol Police corralling a lot of these protesters in and just basically giving them a tour of the state capitol. So they tried to glorify this insurrection type of scenario that didn't work, because there's also footage of actual people who were there as Trump supporters, who were trying to stop a certain small amount of the crowd going after the police, because there were provocateurs there. There were deliberate federal provocateurs, I believe, allegedly federal provocateurs there, and so it failed. It failed miserably. And they literally tried to do that. That was their cue to try and issue out this martial law type of countrywide martial law type of status. We basically saw that during COVID, where we had helicopters flying above and doing their rounds within the Capitol, flying all over the state, and they were doing this all over the country. Yeah, what was his name? Ray Epps, I think it was. Ray Epps. They were like, this guy, Ray Epps, who's been called out as a federal agent, and allegedly a federal agent, rather. And he's seen on video saying, like, let's go, we gotta break into the Capitol building. And then immediately people were saying to him, Fed. So people aren't stupid. And, they think the administration thinks that the people are so riled up, and we are. I mean, a lot of people are riled up. Don't get me wrong, and a lot of people are really sick and tired of what inflation's been doing, what the lies have been doing, the deceit, all of this stuff, and the fact that people aren't being played into the position of being this card piece of right-wing gun nut, lunatic type shooter, the average common American, the working class American, even some the working and poor class Americans. I mean, I think they're one and the same, because we all live paycheck to paycheck no matter what. But and even some of the people that are as far as in financial class, we'll say, above that, are sick and tired of deceit, and sick and tired of the truth being manipulated, and sick and tired of inflation, sick and tired of war overseas, sending our sons and daughters over to overseas wars that we don't need to be involved in. Sick and tired of the censorship, sick and tired. This is America unbecoming. Because we are supposedly in the freest, most dominant country on the planet, and yet here we are struggling to be able to speak truth. Not even just speak, but just actually broadcast the truth. We're struggling with that. We're struggling with being able to deal with all of these inflation. We're struggling to deal with all of the processes that are going overseas, as far as jobs, as far as materials, as far as oil that comes from overseas, and most especially wars that we do not need to be involved in at all. Period. We don't. We never have. Ever since World War II, we haven't had to be involved in a war, and I still have discrepancies with World War I and World War II. We do not need to be involved in any of these wars. Period. We don't need to be. Do we need to protect our assets? Do we need to protect countries that are potentially, could be invaded by, say Iran, for instance, if they wanted to invade, I don't know, Israel, or if they wanted to invade Italy or France or something of that nature, right? If one country was trying to dominate another country just because they wanted to take the land and their resources and all that stuff. Yes, is that what the American military industrial complex, forged by the American government, forged by the globalist agenda? Yes. Is that what it does? Yes, it does currently. But that's the point. We don't need to be involved in any of that. We need to get away from these globalist banker types, technocratic people. That is what we need to get away from. The people, us, you and I, need to take control over of that. So this is what I think. I think there's a bunch of things that are playing out during all of this. Is that on one hand you have the Harris-Biden administration that is funded by the Obama administration, funded by the Clinton administration, funded by the Bush administration, so on and so forth. In fact, I don't even see Bush really much involved, but I'm sure he's involved somehow in some way. But definitely the Clintons, Obamas, Bidens, and Harris. And Harris is really just a wild card that they threw in there, because she's failing at her talking points, which is phenomenal, because it's fascinating, because they went from their best candidate, Obama, to Biden and then Harris. They would have been better off going with a Newsom or even Michelle Obama. And I'm very, very surprised of that they didn't do that. And I'm not saying either of those are any better, don't get me wrong, but because of their ability to be very articulate and well spoken, it definitely would have been a much harder chance for Trump to fight. I think, maybe, I don't know, because Trump's probably one of the, not for nothing, hate him or like him, I don't care I don't really care about whether you like his personality or anything like that. The guy's a smooth talker, and he's funny. He's funny. He coins a lot of things that are really funny. Like Tampon Tim, or he just fake news is a gold. That term will never die. But it's not about what people. It's not about how it's said. It comes down to actual policy, and where are the policies? We see what the policies were during the Biden and Harris administration. We've seen the policies that were during the Obama administration. None of them helped. Obama may have had, in a way, the Healthcare Act, what is it, Obamacare, and even that still, because it forced people on whether or not they wanted to get health insurance, right? And then if you didn't get health insurance, you get taxed for it. I think we still have that. I don't know if that's still on. I'm not sure. I think actually when I did my taxes during the Trump administration, I vaguely recall at least one or two of those times where that didn't have to get claimed. I guess he had taken it off. But that's, why are you going to tax somebody because they don't want health insurance? I mean, yeah, I get it. People should have health insurance to some degree, but it should also be more affordable, which he was trying to actually do. And I think Trump should also have someone focus in on that too. Hopefully RFK has that. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are involved with the new, I call this I see this as a new administration. I think Trump, when he went into his first term, he was very much inexperienced on who to have by his side. Because if you see a lot of the people, I think Barr was one of them. Was the attorney general, I think, or head of CIA. I don't remember. I don't remember his job title, but I remember Barr was like, you know, was a terrible pick because he ended up turning against him in the end anyway. He wouldn't even go to bat for him on the election issue, and neither would Mike Pence. So I don't think Trump actually knew. He obviously was very much inexperienced on who he knew. I think so. I mean, you know, I'm trying not to I'm not trying to justify everything because I mean sometimes, especially Fauci, like I want to say that he knows that. I mean, I think he knows now that it was a fail. I think he's come out quite a few times that Fauci was a complete fail, being the head of the CDC and coming out and having people, mandating to wear masks and then not mandating to wear masks and then mandating, vaccines and then saying that, the body does create antibodies when it comes in contact with a cold, with a disease or whatever. And then he, and then he backtracked. Fauci backtracked all the time. And then now it seems like he's gone underground for a while. Yes, Trump. I do believe he had a lot of he had a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, or a lot of sheep. Yeah, a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And I do think he smoked them out, but I do think a lot of them showed their hand. We're seeing a lot of the machines' hand being shown. This is a globalist hand that's being shown, because when it trickles down, yeah, we see the Democrats, we see the Republicans, we see the liberals, we see the conservatives. At face-to-face value, when you see a conservative and you see a liberal, when they have rational thinking, the ones that do have rational thinking, they actually have some good points on both sides that you can go either way with. And then you get into the really radicalized, which I wouldn't even call them liberals. I wouldn't even call them Democrats. I do think that the Democratic Party is hijacked by a new communist party, and I do think that has very much something to do with China, because the American government is heavily involved with Chinese imports. We get everything from China. This microphone, the machine that I'm talking out of, the computer chips that are in the iPhones or any of the cell phones or any of the computers are all manufactured in China. Some of them are manufactured in Taiwan, but a majority, everything we get our electrical electrical transformers from China. And just to bring something up, maybe it's conspiracy, maybe it's a wild theory, but when Israel had to intercept the import of beepers to send out to Hamas or Hezbollah terrorist members, when they hijacked those beepers, because that was the way that they communicate, the Hezbollah Hezbollah militants, Israel intercepted the import, put C4 into those beepers so that they would get sent to the Hezbollah militants, and then detonated them months later. So this tells me that there is a capability of someone putting in some type of some type of thing, some type of technology, or some type of explosive in the stuff that we get from overseas. China being an opposing enemy, maybe we may not be at war with them, or we might be at war with them, but it's not the war that's sending missiles, at each other. It's the weapon of technology. It's the weapon of information. It's the weapon of slowly taking over land and slowly taking over economy and slowly taking over infrastructure. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't trust that we would get, all of our product, and especially our infrastructure product and our communications product and our utility and energy product from a foreign nation that we aren't exactly on, we're not exactly on ideological terms. They're a communist nation. We're a republic. So I don't know. I just went on a tangent there. I'm just kind of, I think of these things, you know what I mean? So, and we do have we do have conflict with Russia. We have conflict with Israel and Iran. All of these proxy wars that are popping up. We're at the brink of probably nuclear war between ourselves and Russia. China would most certainly get involved, if they're not already. China and Russia have been making a treaty with each other to get away from the petrodollar, which is the dollar that the American dollar depends on. So with everything like inflation, with everything else, like these countries getting away from this from the standard, which is the American dollar has been the standard globally, at least for the 200 years or whatever, since its inception, for that matter. I mean, probably a little bit after that, because I don't think we were entirely global just yet, but infrastructure wise and financial wise, yeah, it's been the standard that everyone goes through the American dollar. But look at all of the stuff that's been sent overseas. Trump's actually wanting and trying to have that come back. So, people ask me, and I have conversations with people online and all that stuff about, is it why would you vote for Trump? And I haven't even decided on whether or not I'm going to trope for anything, because I don't know, because I've always had a discrepancy on whether or not voting even matters. But to the way of how it had happened, the last election, I mean, we have seen more things come out. We have seen more things being exposed, and it's not just because it's all online and it's in our faces and stuff like that. I mean, the TV, the media can't even hide it any longer. CNN can't hide it any longer. Fox News can't hide it any longer. CBS or what's the other one there? MSNBC. None of these broadcasts, even on the smaller outlets, on the local outlets, can't even hide any of this anymore. It's as though the entire hand has been shown, and it has been shown. It's been shown for a while. It's been showing for a while, ever since that all of these policies were to take God out of the schools, even in public schools, to remove God out of that, to have these learning expos about how to be involved in the LGBTQ communities, to have any, or to say, like, okay, it's okay for boys to dress as girls and it's okay for girls to dress as boys, or not even just dress, but to actually act and become. These are things that have been part of it's been like a hypersexualization of young children within the schools, within all of these drag queen story time shows, within all of these parades. I mean, come on. It's all out there. I don't even have to clip it. Maybe I'll make a mini documentary on it and do a show on it and just post it as a show. But it's all out there. You see these 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old boys dressed as girls on top of these stages with drag queens. It's I don't know about you, but that's a problem. And then some people will say, well, it's none of your business. It's not your kid. But if any one of us had saw a child in a situation where it definitely looks like they're being sexualized, whether it's the business of that parent or not, that is your business, because it's a child being harmed. Yes or no? So I mean, that's kind of where that's where I stand at it. That's where I always have stood at it. And and then they'll say, like, oh well, that's just being hateful. No, it's protecting the legacy of not only the country but family. It's protecting the legacy of innocent children. They should be learning math, science, history, English, Spanish, French. They should be learning things, not learning what what pronoun they're going to go by today. And it goes deeper than that because of all the gender affirming care and all that stuff. And there's some of these, I think it's in California, or I want to say it's California, read a story that a mother had her child taken away from her because she denied wanting to get the child who's like 7 or 8 years old, maybe a little bit younger, to get them gender affirming care because the boy says that he's a girl. And CPS wants to remove the child from the mother. California actually has, I don't even know what the actual law is, but they actually, so if you deny your child in California that if they say they want to be, say a little boy says that, okay, I can be a girl or something like that. And meanwhile, these aren't just kids saying like, oh yeah, they want to be a girl. They're being convinced of it. That's another thing. This is the indoctrination of it. They have teachers and these counselor types that say, and I'm going off of speculation when I say this, but because when I'm around family members, especially the younger kids in my family, especially my son or anything like that, you don't see them saying, oh, yeah, I'm a girl or anything like that. They're oblivious to any of it. They just want to go outside and play. They want to go or wrestle or play a game or something like that. They're oblivious to any of that. So my point here is that it's most certainly being indoctrinated, and it's being indoctrinated from an early age. And yes, there are parents out there that are actually allowing it and doing it themselves, and they're sick. They're sick. And I digress. Because it's almost impossible not to become angry at these sort of things. And this wasn't even a topic I really wanted to get into. It just seems to be one of the many topics that do come up because it's becoming more and more and more and more prevalent. But I do think it can be turned around, and I do believe that it will, and it has to. I mean, there's a boiling point. Especially, listen, one thing that people should know, especially on that side of the fence where you're on that like communist, radically liberal sense, is that you don't fuck around with parents who have children or those who are passionate about protecting children. You don't fuck with those people. And excuse my language. I know there's a Christian audience on here, but I have to express that in that manner. So Lord forgive me. Dill says, you ever hear of Universe 25 Experience? Universe 25 Experience. I feel like you might have sent me something like that. I'm not too sure. But no, I off of memory, I'm not entirely sure what Universe 25 Experience. Sounds interesting. Is it a documentary? Let me know if you have a link too. Send it up. Martin, I hope I'm saying that right. I appreciate you for tuning in. Martin says, I hope and pray there is a red wave in Rhode Island this time around, as well as for the country. Amen. I do too, because I'm tired of this administration that's already in, obviously. But I don't have, and this is not me putting faith in government whatsoever, but I feel like there obviously needs to be some time that we need to afford, and we're not going to get it. We're not going to get it with the Harris administration. It's just not going to happen. I do want to play this clip from Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan recently with Sam Tripoli, I believe this is an episode with Sam Tripoli, and he mentions the RFK, the Robert Kennedy Jr. Am I saying it right? Robert Kennedy Jr. Yeah. Why I keep saying RFK? Yeah, because his middle name's Frederick, I think. I don't know. I had a blank spot for a second. But so there's this clip from Joe Rogan that I want to play, and he's talking about this that segment, and I believe he even mentions the document, the actual document. So bear with me here. And I'm going to try and blank those names out.
This new martial law thing.
Yeah.
This is pushed through. This new martial law thing.
Yeah.
This is very disturbing. Jamie, please Google this so we can find out what the actual law states. But it's DOD Directive 5240.01, giving the Pentagon power for the first time in history to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil who protest government policies.
What are they expecting?
Again, 5250.01. Is that what it sounds right?
Is that what it is?
Sorry.
Did I tell you what it is? I'm sorry. 5240.01. DOD directive. This is from RFK Jr. Posted this on Twitter, and I'm finding out about it because people are blowing me up about it. That is a terrifying thing to push through for the first time in U.S. history, giving the military the ability to shoot and kill American citizens. See this thing that the Biden administration pushed through, this new martial law.
How about that? So, ladies and gentlemen, with all of that said, there is quite a bit that's happening and quite a bit that's going on and quite a bit that will happen. And I do hope and pray that the country will not fold and the people will not fold and that no one will fold against the pressure that has been continuing. Because one thing I will add is that, you know, the Harris administration, for anyone that's out there that owns a home or property or even business property or even rent, she does not have a plan on how to bring inflation down. No matter what she says about trying to bring oil down and all that stuff, it is not going to happen. She is not going to be able to do it because she can't. She doesn't have the relationships. She doesn't have the backbone to do it. And on top of that, that's not part of their agenda. That's not part of the globalist agenda. And I do think, to some degree anyway, that the Trump administration followed with the RFK administration, Gabbard administration, and possibly Elon Musk. And I don't entirely trust Elon Musk because you know, he wears a weird demonic type outfit. So I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if he's trolling. I'm hoping he's just trolling because he's known for it. He trolls a lot of people. So I'm hoping that's just a troll. I'm hoping that's just a trolling behavior. He seems to have fun and do that. So, but you know, everything is in God's hands and in His control at all time, regardless of what happens. Regardless if it feels like it's not in our favor for the better. There's still a plan involved here. So we have to keep our sight on that. Regardless of what happens during election, regardless of what happens after the fact, whether Trump gets it or Harris gets it, regardless of that fact, there's still, because even if Trump does happen to get in, it still doesn't stop. It still doesn't end there. They're going to ramp up whatever they're going to ramp up. And I don't think the assassination attempts on Trump are over either. You know, there's, you know, here's another speculation on this. Here's another thought with the Harris and Biden administration, providing the American military to shoot American citizens. This could be very, very dangerous for Trump also. It could be very, very dangerous for all the people involved. And it's very dangerous for people like you and I that speak out and have these conversations. And because, you know, to be quite honest, I wouldn't even recommend going into high population areas. I really wouldn't. It's not a notion out of fear, but it's a notion out of trying to play strategically smart. Obviously, we have to show a presence, but I do think that we can still show a presence through voice. And you got to call things out for what it is. And when something's shady and something ain't right, I do think that these things need to be called out. But I know where I stand on that. I'm not voting, or I'm not standing by a party that is for, that wants to call pedophilia PDF file type of people maps and call them minor attracted persons. I'm not for that party. I'm not for a party that wants to involve children in LGBTQ programs and parades and drag queen story times or drag queen shows. I'm not for that party. I'm not for that at all. I'm not for people who want to, keep continually increasing inflation and keep continuing putting the stress on family members and tearing the family apart and removing mothers and fathers from the children, and especially the fathers out of the home. I'm not for that party. I'm not for the party that wants you dependent on the government. I do think that having, government, I do think that government programs can be useful to those who don't have the ability to work, or don't have the ability to function, or don't have the ability to, work as like quote unquote normal people. I do think that has a purpose. I do think that it has a purpose to get people back on their feet, but they, you can't stay on something like that. And I think you have to, get yourself out there and keep yourself active and moving forward. But I'm not for the party that wants full dependency on them. And I'm not for a party that wants to go to war. We do not need to be involved in any war. The only time that we need to be involved in any war if is a country attacks us. And again, in this day and time, because there are globalist peoples who are in charge, or not in charge, but they have some type of control over things. It's a staged thing. In this day and age, anything and all things that require that are they're either provoked or they're staged. And when I say staged, I don't mean staged as in it's fake. I mean staged as in it's been planned, it's orchestrated to happen so that it could cause order out of chaos. It's the oldest trick rule in the book that these globalist types use. It's in all of their books. WEF, World Economic Forum, the Klaus Schwab types, the Bill Gates types, the George Soros types, all of these people in their books, the Lord Rothschild types, all these people that write books, they lay out the plan. They lay out all their plans and what they want to do with technology and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not for that party. I'm not for globalism by any means or any stretch of the imagination. The money needs to return into the hands of the people, and the government itself needs to return into the hands of the people. And always remember, there's more of us than there are them. Especially on this side of thinking, on the so-called conservative side of thinking. I don't like to label things, but fuck it. If it's on, excuse my language, but if it's on that side of the fence, then it's on that side of the fence. The conservative side of thinking, then so be it. But I'm with the party that wants to make things peaceful, better, and without any with the least amount of suffering and conflict. And I don't see the other party being about that. And I think it's a hijacked party. I think it's a hijacked it's a communist party. It's good to be back in the driver's seat, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while. I do plan on making more content, and I do plan on making more consistent content, little shorts and all that stuff. I've been thinking of ideas, a lot of hard work ahead and a lot of good work ahead. I do appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is my time. I'm going to get back to it. And I appreciate every one of y'all for tuning in, everybody that's come in, all the newcomers that came in. I appreciate y'all. I really appreciate, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble, all major platforms. Make sure you like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Also, just want to say that I am going to be back in the process of selling these. This is called a Baofeng radio. Yes, it is made in China and it does come from China, but unfortunately, this is what we have. I do program them for your local area. It's good to have. It's called a ham radio. You can do numerous amounts of frequencies on those. I do think that it would be great if you're a prepper type to have that in your survival kit. I'll be talking more about that. I'll make more videos about that. There is an episode on the Rumble page of of how to use a Baofeng, and I'll make more videos of that because I know there's a lot of people out there that have bought the Baofeng radios from me. So I do want to make videos of that and help people out with that. And do some testing and all that stuff too. Do some like live testing and all that stuff on out in the field. Maybe not on the podcast, but definitely out in the field. Or I would post it up on here rather. Actually, make content out of that. But again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I love y'all. God bless y'all. And once again, make sure you like, share, subscribe on The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. And we also have a Facebook page. Like, share, subscribe us on all major platforms. And I will see you next time very soon. Keep a lookout on all the content. I actually do plan on doing a show before the election, although I think I'll do a couple shows before that. But I'll do a show before the election and on the day of. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate y'all once again for tuning in. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. God bless y'all. Thank you. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. It's already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped.